Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to the Sonic X Shadow Generations commentary. Here we get some, what was actually original DLC for Sonic Generations that actually ended up being the only DLC thing that was added to the game. Yeah, Casino Night. Not technically the level, just a pinball game, which was kinda disappointing, and yeah, the idea of a DLC for Sonic Generations was actually kind of exciting because a lot of people thought that, oh man, we could actually get some extra levels, that'd be quite cool, and yeah, instead it was all just fucking this really, and we were thinking, oh, that's okay, I'm sure the next Sonic game will be great, and Sonic Lost World was revealed, and, you know, people was like, oh, well, you know, it could still be good, and then Sonic Boom was revealed, and then everyone's like, oh, brains. Okay, to kind of get the facetiousness out of the way right now, yeah, there is actually a little bit more to this pinball table because it does sort of err on you know, Sonic Adventure sensibilities, if you remember the pinball table in Casinopolis? Yeah, that was it. Sorry, there were too many fucking casinos in fucking Sonic games these days. I lose track of time and I can't remember them all. But yeah, similar to Casinopolis. God, I gotta keep fucking remembering that one. Yeah, basically, yeah, your main objective is to basically get to the upper echelons and, you know, get some unique, hidden, cool little stuff here and there. You saw a bit earlier on that you could access the upper echelons and, you know, get a bit of extra stuff here and there, and, yeah, can be quite nice, and, really, it's pinball. Don't really have too much else interesting to say, so, hello ladles and dudes, welcome to my surprise commentary on Sonic Spinball. It's about as exciting as what you're seeing here, really. Apart from having simultaneously one of the better and one of the worst soundtracks I've ever heard of in a Sonic game, but, yeah. It's kinda boring now. I'm gonna... this is basically gonna be a highlight reel of Casino Night Zone for Generations, so get it! And here we go. Yep, finally we've reached the upper pinball board, which we probably won't be able to stay in very long, but, yeah, just get enough of a score or fall down the pit enough times and then you pretty much just get everything else and, yeah, off we go. Man, look at that fucking background. The amount of background art that you never get to explore in this game is... it's fucking staggering, man, but, that's a discussion for another day. Because, we do have a few cutscenes coming up, and, if push comes to shove, I will get to talk about, well... some of the really good-looking background art and graphical detail that Sonic Team, even, you know, back in 2011, really had to their name. Oh, those rings. Tasty rings! And so, we have our first rival battle against Metal Sonic in what's admittedly a much better realized version of the Metal Sonic race from, well, the titular Sonic CD. Again, it's made a little bit easier because you don't have Eggman's Laser of Death chasing after you, although Metal Sonic admittedly does sort of do that with his own little triangle prism of death thing. And, you know, he does have multiple attacks to sort of, you know, to sort of get up your grill and get in your way and all that, and you do still have the falling platforms behind you, so I guess technically you do have a sort of Damocles hanging over you regardless, but... you know, hit Metal Sonic a couple of times, smack him down to size, and, well, the chips will fall where they fell. I can't remember what term I was using there, but, malapropisms aside, yeah, avoid the falling shit, and, Metal Sonic ain't nothing. I mean, we've already fought his older variant in Sonic Heroes, so, yeah. Truly this is a Metal Sonic Generations. Or whatever. And yes, I am playing the US soundtrack to Sonic CD because, I don't know, Stardust Speedway US version, pretty cool. But I will say that part of the reason why I tend to enjoy this version of the Metal Sonic boss fight here compared to the one on Sonic CD a little bit better is that, well, there's no terrain that's really sort of there to sort of awkwardly jerk you around and stop you, really. Oh, I missed. But yeah, there's no terrain to really stop you, so again, the pace is constantly moving, and it's really just a matter of whether or not you can dodge Metal Sonic's attacks, and, yeah. Bows are uncle, and even though I missed the first attack, I'll get him this time. Come on, you bastard! Woocha! Yeah, by the way, this is also the one bit of Sonic CD representation you really get to see in the game. There's no level based on it, which I always found rather odd, and... Well, I mean, again, back when Generations first came out, I was always thinking that next to Kingdom Valley and, you know, a couple of other stages, that CD should have really got one. I mean, maybe not necessarily Stardust Speedway, but, you know, something at the very least, and, yeah, if you were thinking they were going to count Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Sonic & Knuckles as two separate games, no, they're pretty much just joined as one here. So, all you really get is, well, Sky Sanctuary, which, again, not a bad choice, and definitely one that I would have picked for Generations. And again, I mean, the HD version does give it some very beautiful looking, detail, really, and, well, again, I'll talk about graphical detail a little bit later as we have more, you know, in-depth backgrounds. I mean, not that this isn't in-depth, mind you, but, really just the fact that it looks like you can explore a lot of these places, and to some extent you can, as you progress closer towards a lot of these environments and take certain pathways. It's just that... And again, I'm going to be talking about this specifically because I recall... I can't remember what website it was, but it was basically like a sort of free cam website where you could basically take like a bunch of different games. I remember some of the ones specifically being was Kingdom Hearts and, well, Sonic Colors, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and a few others where you could basically take like a free camera and explore the level environments. And again, like, I mean, with Sonic Colors specifically, like, there was a lot of environment detail and a lot of areas that Sonic Team did model as, you know, part of the backdrop. And areas that were fully detailed, you know, with a lot of background props and stuff going on in the background. Things that you would never interact with in terms of the gameplay, which, again, I always found to be somewhat disappointing. I always thought that, you know, these levels look richly detailed, there's a lot of places you could explore. And it's the one thing I actually wanted to bring up with Chemical Plant Zone, actually, because, you know, they designed, like, a whole lower area, which, you know, in the 2D games would have just been a place where, like, oh, you know, that's just where you fall off and die. Except, again, when you look at it as, you know, modern Sonic as you see the ground down below you, I don't know, it feels like a place where you could run across the ground and sort of explore just to see, you know, what those different chemical sheds have to offer, but here it's just sort of like nothing. The linear pathway is really all you get, and I suppose to some extent that is partially, I guess, what a lot of detractors of the Unleashed formula really did sort of have a bit of odds and ends with, in the sense that, again, there wasn't really a lot you could do to sort of explore with a lot of these environments, which, you know, sort of made the 3D gameplay seem like a bit of a waste, since you're just sort of running down a corridor in a bit of a Crash Bandicoot style. And again, I don't think it's either really for or against the style, really, because, I mean, I do think that by the time, especially by the time of Generations, like, I mean, the gameplay format was refined to be about as good as it could possibly be, but by that same token, though, I don't know, I am glad that, you know, with Frontiers, and especially the Shadow Generations portion, that it does sort of open the scope a little bit and allow us to sort of explore the levels a little bit. I mean, we saw a lot of evidence all throughout the current commentary you're even watching, really, with the Shadow stages that, yeah, there is a great deal of things that you can explore and, you know, level pathways you can take. Whether that's just down to Generations' influence with the, excuse me, with the level designers, or, you know, whether that is what Sonic Team plans to do with a lot of future stages, depending on, you know, what Sonic game they make next, is, really up in the air in the moment, but I don't know, either way, you have all this graphical detail, you might as well utilize it as much as you can. I mean, again, you don't necessarily need to keep it to the whole sort of, oh no, it's 2D, we've got to slow down and do some level designing to make sure that people get their bang for their buck in terms of money, but I don't know. My thoughts are a little bit disorganized at the moment. It's been a very busy work season as we tackle the post-Christmas and then New Year's holiday rush with scummy tourists and their ugly, ugly children. But now, we get to tackle Sky Sanctuary, the modern version. And I will say that, in terms of talking about some of the Sonic level topography, if that's the correct turn of phrase to use, yeah, it does kind of go to show just, again, just like the level of advancements that the Echidnas could have potentially reached, I suppose. I mean, again, I don't know whether or not this is because of Sega's whole, like, oh, let's not go into character backstories thing unless we feel like it, but I don't know, was it the Knuckles clan that was responsible for creating this, or was the Sky Sanctuary the result of, Knuckles' direct line of ancestry learning to utilize the Master Emerald and Chaos Emeralds for the powers of good? Because, again, from what you see of the Echidna tribe in Sonic Adventure, they don't really seem to be capable of creating this level of technological advancement, so, this kind of made me wonder how they had this level of architecture or skill, really. Or whether or not this might have been left over from a previous civilization, if Frontiers is to be believed, so... yeah, I guess that's still a bit up in the air. But anyway, in terms of banging tunes that we have to listen to, Ungravitify by... oh shit, I forgot who the artist was. I want to say it was by Rumblebee, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, it was basically the main theme song to Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, and since we're all up in the air with the Sky Sanctuary, it felt a little bit fitting, and it is also quite good. And I think also got a cover by Crush 40, which was also equally snazzy. Oh, I should have taken the top ring, then I could have felt on top, and then I could have felt like a man. But regardless though, as you can see down there, and as we go up here, many different pathways to take. Some are more platform focused, while others, well, either reliant on you being a stubborn little bitch, as you're going to be seeing with a lot of my playing skills here, or just if you're quick enough to sidestep, jump, hop, and ride your way to victory, really. I don't know. But I mean, all that aside though, like, I mean, I will say that, like, for at least a lot of the early portion of the Sonic portion of Sonic Generations, for especially a lot of modern Sonic stages, pretty good stuff. I do think the game does lose a bit of steam towards the end if I can be slightly critical about the game, but honestly, I mean, if you want to get my opinions on Sonic Generations short and sweet, it is a pretty snazzy game all the way through. By the way, there was a rail up there that you could take that was much more expedient, and why I didn't take it was because, I'm stupid. Goddamn motherfucking stupid. Well, I guess it was either that or maybe it was fear that I would fall off and miss the rail and look like a dumbass and have to take the lower route out of shame and misery. But yeah, sidestepping sections, you know, 2D platforming segments. There really isn't much more I can say about the gameplay that I haven't already said in Shadow's version, or, well, what's already self-evident on screen, really. So, I mean, to that extent, it does sort of play upon the whole simplicity aspect of what makes Sonic Generations fun. I mean, I did sort of bring up much earlier in the commentary, I think it was around about the time of Kingdom Valley when we were tackling the other stages, that maybe some non-Sonic fans probably would have a little bit of trouble getting used to it, which I suppose did partially necessitate the design for Classic Sonic to play more like a traditional 2D platformer as opposed to a regular game. By the way, I die here. Yeah, make sure you don't run out of rings when you're using the Supersonic Boosty, because otherwise, well, you will fall to your death and it won't save you. Which, counterintuitively, was actually one of the problems that Shadow's 2005 game did actually fix, because if you use Chaos Control over a pit, it would automatically teleport you towards land. So, yeah, even if you run out of the Chaos Control on the gauge, you could technically utilize it long past your gauge if there was no land, which was actually how you could, well, get a pretty big lead time if you were playing through Space Gadget to win the race against Sonic. Yeah, exploits. Pretty freaking sweet. But in any case, so, we have a cutscene coming up, so yeah, I'm gonna take a drink of the Pepsi and you dudes can enjoy more essential story content.
Take a good look at yourself, Sonic!
Dr. Eggman!
It's the last thing you'll see in this world!
Another Sonic? What? Wait a second!
Classic Sonic cutscenes in HD! By which I mean actual cutscenes, not just, talky thingo characters just stand around bopping about like we saw in Sonic Superstars, but that's neither here nor there in this case. Anyway, this is the Death Egg Robot. would you believe it or not, it's the second HD-ing variant of this boss fight, because, yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 actually did this Death Egg Robot boss fight, and, it was a wee bit shit. Much like how my death here was also a wee bit shit, because I didn't judge distance. Oh, poor Sonic. But yeah, I mean, conversely to the original fight in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, this one actually requires you to sort of use what was initially a bit of a cheating strategy in the original game, where you're basically meant to hit Eggman's ass. Which is weird, actually, because, I mean, if you got behind him in the original game, you get 2 free shots at his ass, and, well, if you stay behind there, he pretty much launches out Eggman bombs outside of his jetpack backpack kind of thing, so, yeah, that's a wee bit strange. Anyway, get in between him and his giant fist, and, yeah, smack his ass a little bit, and, yeah, after you give him a needle up the anus, well, then you're pretty much meant to stay out of his way, which is what I was supposed to do, but didn't for some reason. And then basically Eggman will bounce you up and down, making craters in the ground, because he is a rather corpulent man. And yeah, what you're meant to do next is basically lead him towards the bombs, activate them, and yeah, basically just sort of gunk up his arm. Okay, we kind of failed there, because I'm a bit out of practice with this boss fight. Okay, I'm very out of practice with this boss fight, but yeah, that wasn't gonna work. And yeah, he can destroy the button, but thankfully the platforms regenerate, so thankful for small mercies, I suppose, but yeah, lure him towards the bombs, get his arm stuck, bump on him a couple of times, wash, rinse, and repeat. It's not the most expedient boss fight, but hey, it is your first one. But his arm will sort of recuperate after a little bit, so make sure you get up there, and, well, just sort of bounce on his head. Much easier than the original Sonic the Hedgehog 2 boss fight, because, I mean, for one thing you have rings, and for one thing you have scripted sequences, really. I would have said I was doing much better here, but alas, I was lying. Why do I fill your ears with honey-sweet fibs? Good question, but that's meant to be answered next time. So, on that note, I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and as I just make it in time, I'll see you next time for more Sonic X Shadow Generations.